Friends, knowledge prospers all. In our mission to share knowledge, let's begin. Today we are going to talk on the misconduct of willful insubordination. Willful insubordination or disobedience of the reasonable orders of a superior. There are orders, but it's qualified by an adjective, that is, it should be reasonable also. The orders are given by the superior. Naturally, the superiors are there to give the orders, but what is insubordination? Friends, insubordination is the willful failing to obey the instructions of the seniors. On shop floors, in corporate offices, well, in a master and servant hierarchy, we find that there is a boss. And then there is a junior or a subordinate, and he is supposed to listen to whatever are the reasonable orders of the superior. Not to listen to them or not to obey those orders is insubordination, but of course, it has to be willful also. It has to be deliberate also. Now, if the conduct of the subordinate is to deliberately challenge the authority of the senior, then there is a misconduct of insubordination. No organization can function without discipline. And if every subordinate has to have his own point of view, right or wrong, well, you never needed a senior itself. That's not. Seniors or bosses with their experience guide the juniors, guide the subordinates, and it's the duty of the subordinates also to listen to the lawful and reasonable orders of the superior or the boss or the senior. Now, friends, every human being has a right to live with dignity. Subordinate also, and the boss also, or the superior also. Everybody has a right to live with dignity as well as respect. You have self-respect, I have also got self-respect. But when you come and work on the shop floor in corporate offices, you have to subscribe to certain standards of professionalism. This comes to the fore not only in dealing with your superiors, but it also comes to the fore when you deal with your colleagues also. And that's why, say, in ordinary parlance also we say you should know how to behave in society. You should know how to carry yourself. You should treat people with respect. Now you see, friends, in spite of differences of nature, everybody in this world is a different nature. Everybody is different. You are different. I am different. Somebody is good, somebody is bad, somebody is ugly, somebody is crooked, somebody is wicked, somebody is meek, somebody is weak, somebody is passive, somebody is subdued. So many types of people. But when you work in corporate offices, when you work on the shop floor, you have to understand that you have to work politely. Politely, civility costs nothing, and one has to be polite. Else, we are going to see as to what is insubordination also. Now you see, insulting, innuendos. Innuendos is the plain language is something, the couched language is something, nicknames, something of that sort. But however, the courts have held time and again that such epithets, such adjectives are not to be taken literally. One has to really pin the blame that yes, he is been guilty of insubordination. Now you see, use of a militant language. Basically, in manufacturing sectors, you see workers come from a very different social milieu. They come from a very different social strata. And sometimes they use words which might amount to character assassination also. And then, but say for example, then you have to see the word, you have to analyze the word. The courts will see he is coming from this sort of a social milieu, whether it really amounts to an insubordination. Sometimes you cross country cultures also. Today in Indian shop floors, you are having, say, cross country people, Germans, Japanese, Indians working on the same floor. When can it be insubordination? Is again time, place, and circumstance will describe it. But then there are certain words which will hardly require any explanation. Say, for example, a junior or a subordinate calling his senior a bastard, calling him Sala, calling him Haramzada, calling him Sasura. All these are words taken from judgments which people in India and workers in India have used time and again. Calling him, allow me to say so, calling him Bhadwa. Such type of intemperate language certainly amounts to insubordination. Insubordination is different from mere insolence. or rudeness. We have shades of rudeness. Some people talk in such a fashion. He may be, say, a gentleman from inside, but he appears to be a gruff exterior. No, I mean, that cannot be insubordination. Insubordination means failure to follow lawful and reasonable orders of a superior. Orders are given to you. And in every act of insubordination, friends, the act should be direct, it should be willful, it should be deliberate, and it should challenge the authority also. That is insubordination. Otherwise, you never needed a senior and a junior. Junior is supposed to obey the lawful and the reasonable orders of a senior. Otherwise, he indulges into insubordination. And to prove insubordination, friends, on the anvil of the Indian Evidence Act, there are two, three things which are very, very essential. First is there must be a direct order itself. What is the order? What is the order given to me by my superior? Secondly, the order must not be unlawful or unreasonable. It should not hit any law. The senior telling the junior go and kill him, well, that's on the face of it, it's an unlawful order. It should also not be unreasonable. It should be realistic. Then it should be matching with the job description. Say you have appointed me as a clerk and you are asking me to do something which does not fit in the tenets of my job description itself. What is my job? So the senior or the boss should know his job description. Well, otherwise, why should he be his senior? He should know that this is the periphery of his job and he should give him any work which is within that periphery. If any instruction is not directly related to an employee's duties but is ancillary and necessary for operational, that it is ancillary, even then he has to do it. Well, I mean, exactly demarcating the contours of any job is a pretty difficult thing. A little bit here and there it might go, it might encroach here and there out of the periphery. And then that's what I'm saying, that if it is ancillary and necessary also for any operational work which the person is already doing, it will be well within his scope of duty, and not to do it willfully will be insubordination. The thing is, the employee cannot refuse to carry out even ancillary jobs, which of course are necessary for the operation for which he is appointed for. Now, what could be the punishments, friends? If at all the first offense is very mild, then you can give him a verbal reprimand or a cautionary advice or warning. Of course, it will depend. I have already, at the cost of repetition, I say it will depend on time, place, and circumstance. If the words are so militant, so deliberate is the willful insubordinations, higher actions can also be taken. Provocation. Provocation should also be taken into consideration. Say, for example, there was a workman who used some scruffy language with his senior. And in his defense was, my senior, that is my boss, gave me bad words on my mother. This really provoked me. So the provocation also finds an important factor in the misconduct of insubordination. Now, if the insubordination is persistent, he does it again and again. It is deliberate, it is gross, it is serious. It will lead to more serious actions and even it may lead to dismissal in the opinion of so many of the courts in India. So you have to see the nature of the insubordination, whether it is repetitive, whether it is persistent. And the bottom line is that it prevents the smooth functioning of the organization itself. What are you ultimately going to do? By this insubordination, your discipline is going to dogs. That will not be tolerated. Juniors disrupt normal functioning and lower the esteem of colleagues or the institution. Institution also. What about the institution? Sometimes insubordination also creeps into defamation. There are workers who write on the glass door. There are workers who go and complain at n number of offices. In one bank, a bunch of workers went and complained that there are many fraudulent activities happening in the bank. Bank said, come on, prove it, and nobody was able to prove it. They were all charge sheeted and ultimately dismissed from services. Now you see, gross insubordination of course, there could be a restraining order even under section 144 of the Criminal Procedure Code. But of course, we are not on the criminality of it right now, friends. And lastly, what are the cases? Cases are Darshan Singh versus Le Meridian Hotel. So using filthy language by one worker to another will entail dismissal of the worker. He is your worker, you have to treat him with respect. A decorum has to be maintained. In Uttar Pradesh State Transport Corporation versus Sudhir Nigam, this is a very landmark authority, wherein termination for abusive language towards superior is set aside in the absence of gestures and details of abuse. How did he abuse? Where are the details? Otherwise, I look at a person, God has created me this way, my face is this way. I just give him a smile. You see, there are so many types of smiles. It could be a smirky smile. It could be an inane smile. It could be an insane smile. It could be an innocent smile. So many types of smile. You cannot just by gestures label anybody that this is insubordination. And then, friends, Meghani versus Molds and Dies. This is a judgment of the Honorable Bombay High Court, wherein it so happened that the manager as well as the managing director both came and tried to pacify the worker. And the worker, he said, हम तुम दोनों को देख लेंगा और बाहर निकलो तुम दोनों को दिखाएंगा. These words were held to be enough to dismiss the worker by the Honorable High Court. So, friends, the essence of the misconduct of insubordination is that it should be deliberate, it should be willful of the reasonable and lawful orders of the superior. And yes, friends, in our mission of sharing knowledge, knowledge prospers all. In our mission to share it, it's time to bid you a goodbye. Thank you.